In 2025, over 2 million Americans have either packed their bags for India or are actively planning to. This isn't a travel trend. It's a quiet, global migration shift that no one saw coming. From the beaches of Goa to the tech towers of Bangalore, from yoga retreats in Rishikesh to university campuses in Pune, a surprising number of Americans are not just visiting India, they're making it home. It's not just backpackers or spiritual seekers anymore. We're talking about retired U.S. veterans living comfortably on Social Security, digital nomads working from rooftop cafes, college students swapping Ivy League tuition for India's elite IITs, and even young families escaping America's rising costs and social unrest. So what's going on? Why are Americans, often seen as global trendsetters, now turning to India, a country once stereotyped as chaotic, crowded, and developing? Is it the soaring cost of living in the U.S.? India's booming tech economy? Or something deeper, a search for purpose, community, or affordable peace of mind? We'll explore the top reasons driving this unexpected reverse migration, from the crumbling American dream to India's rise as a new global haven. We'll talk about economics, healthcare, remote work, spirituality, education, safety, and even real estate. And we'll hear from the very people making this bold leap, Americans who say they found more freedom, more fulfillment, and more future in the very place they once overlooked. This is not just a shift in location. It's a shift in values. And India might just be the next chapter in the American story. The Great Economic Reversal. In 2025, many Americans are grappling with a painful economic reality. The so-called American dream has become too expensive to chase. Inflation continues to eat away at purchasing power, the housing crisis shows no signs of slowing down, and personal debt levels are hitting all-time highs. The middle class, once the pride of the nation, now struggles to afford even basic necessities in major metropolitan areas. Take rent, for example. In New York City, a modest two-bedroom apartment can cost upwards of $4,000 per month. In San Francisco, that figure is often higher. By contrast, Americans relocating to India report living in fully furnished, spacious flats in Mumbai suburbs for just $400 to $600 per month. And that's in one of India's most expensive cities. In places like Indore, Kochi, or Jaipur, the costs drop even further. Retired Americans living off Social Security are finding they can stretch their income far more in India than in any U.S. city. Some describe a lifestyle upgrade they couldn't imagine back home: private cooks, drivers, housekeepers, and access to fresh produce and community life, all for a fraction of U.S. costs. According to 58-year-old Mark Walters, a former school teacher from Ohio now living in Mysore, I couldn't afford to retire comfortably in the U.S. But here, I live well, travel often, and even save money each month. I've never felt more secure financially. This economic reversal, where India offers more affordability, comfort, and dignity than the U.S., is a central driver of this unexpected migration wave. India's booming tech and remote work ecosystem. India isn't just where tech support calls are routed anymore. It's become a global hub for digital innovation, and Americans are taking notice. With the rise of remote work post-pandemic, freelancers, tech entrepreneurs, and creative professionals from the U.S. are choosing to base themselves in cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Pune. These cities boast high-speed internet, thriving co-working cultures, affordable apartments, and global connectivity. The infrastructure has matured rapidly. Think WeWork-style co-working spaces, startup incubators, gig economy platforms, and delivery apps that rival those in New York or London. For many Americans, working U.S. hours from India offers a unique advantage. The time zone difference allows businesses to stay operational round the clock. One Silicon Valley consultant we spoke to now lives in Hyderabad and manages U.S. clients by day, while exploring Indian culture in the evenings. What's more, India's affordability plays a huge role. Monthly living expenses, including rent, food, transport, and entertainment, can be 1/3 of what they'd pay back home. This cost efficiency allows remote workers to take entrepreneurial risks, scale businesses, or simply save more. India's booming ecosystem is also drawing U.S. startups looking to tap into skilled local talent while keeping operations lean. For American digital nomads, India offers the best of both worlds: professional infrastructure and rich cultural immersion, all without medical tourism and holistic living. One of the most underreported reasons for the American shift to India is healthcare. In the U.S., medical expenses can bankrupt families. Even with insurance, a simple surgery might cost tens of thousands of dollars. In India, world-class hospitals in cities like Delhi, Chennai, and Bangalore offer top-tier treatment for a fraction of the cost. Heart surgery? $5,000 in India, compared to $100,000 in the US. Dental implants? $800 instead of $8,000. Fertility treatments like IVF? 1/3 of the US price, with comparable success rates. It's no wonder that thousands of Americans fly to India each year, not just for treatment, but for preventive care and wellness retreats. Cities like Rishikesh, Coimbatore, and Trivandrum are home to world-renowned Ayurvedic centers and yoga ashrams offering detoxes, spiritual counseling, and holistic healing. For many, this becomes more than a one-time visit. It evolves into a lifestyle. Americans seeking natural healing and balance are drawn to India's 5,000-year-old health traditions, and some choose to stay permanently. I came for back surgery, says 43-year-old Melissa Dean from Oregon, but I stayed for the lifestyle. India gave me back my health, and I didn't want to return to the stress and pills of the West. Education and innovation magnet. Surprisingly, India is becoming a hotspot for American students and researchers, not just tourists. With the cost of higher education skyrocketing in the US, many are looking eastward for affordable, high-quality alternatives. India's IITs and IIMs, long known for producing world-class engineers and CEOs, are now welcoming more foreign students through scholarships and exchange programs. The low tuition fees, combined with globally respected faculty, make institutions in India increasingly appealing. American universities, too, are partnering with Indian institutions for research in AI, climate resilience, agriculture, and rural development. A notable example is the MIT Rural Lab project, where students collaborate with Indian NGOs to prototype low-cost innovations in village communities. There's also growing interest in India's spiritual education, fields like Vedanta, Sanskrit, and Buddhist philosophy. Universities in places like Varanasi and Dharamshala offer immersive programs that attract students seeking more than just academic credentials. Parents are even enrolling their kids in Indian international schools, with a focus on discipline, bilingual education, and value-based learning stands in contrast to some U.S. public school systems. For these families, India represents both educational opportunity and cultural depth. The global citizen movement. As the world becomes more interconnected, a new breed of Americans is emerging, those who identify as global citizens, untethered to one country. For this group, mobility, culture, and freedom of choice matter more than borders or passports. India, with its paradoxes and potentials, has become a powerful magnet. Here, people find a vibrant mix of ancient and modern, East and West, tradition and innovation. The diversity of food, language, art, and festivals creates an endlessly fascinating living environment. More than that, India offers a sense of community and purpose. In many cities and villages, life feels more people-oriented and less transactional. There's a rhythm to daily living, chai breaks, temple bells, evening markets that many Americans describe as grounding. For those disillusioned with the materialism and polarization back home, India represents an alternative path, a place to reconnect with humanity, redefine success, and live life on their own terms. As one 29-year-old traveler from Boston put it, I came to India looking for culture. What I found was a way of life, real estate opportunities and cost of living. While the U.S. housing market spirals into unaffordability, India's real estate scene presents a stark contrast, especially in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. American retirees, remote workers, and even families are increasingly purchasing property or signing long-term leases in cities like Kochi, Dehradun, Jaipur, and Pondicherry, where real estate is not just affordable but also appreciating steadily. In Kochi, for example, an ocean-facing two-bedroom apartment can cost as little as $50,000, while in the U.S., that might only get you a down payment. Property taxes are low, and in many parts of India, home ownership is within reach even for modest incomes. Americans with passive income, whether from investments, pensions, or Social Security, are finding that their dollars stretch significantly further in India. What sweetens the deal even more is the availability of domestic help. While hiring a personal cook, maid, or driver is out of reach for most in the U.S., it's a standard part of life for many expats in India. This creates more time for leisure, family, or creative pursuits, things many Americans feel they lost in the hustle of Western life. And with India's improving infrastructure, gated communities, green developments, and access to amenities like gyms, cafes, and hospitals, many are realizing that they don't need to compromise on comfort to afford a better political climate and social shifts. The political polarization in the United States has reached an all-time high. Increasing incidents of gun violence, rising racial tensions, and growing distrust in institutions have led many Americans, especially families and retirees, to reevaluate where they feel safe and heard. India, despite its own internal debates and differences, is perceived by some of these expats as more community-oriented, family-centric, and grounded. While the country has its share of political complexities, the general public is often more focused on day-to-day community life than partisan divides. Parents are moving to India to raise their kids in environments they see as less individualistic, more respectful of elders, and rooted in culture. Conservative-leaning Americans often gravitate toward quieter, tradition-rich towns like Ujjain or Haridwar, while liberal Americans tend to cluster in cosmopolitan areas like Goa, Oroville, or Bangalore. Interestingly, expat enclaves are forming not only in big metros but in smaller, spiritually significant towns. These communities offer support, networking, and a sense of solidarity, helping Americans adjust to life in a vastly different but oddly familiar land. Reverse migration of Indian Americans. Another major factor fueling this migration trend is the reverse movement of Indian Americans. The second-generation children of Indian immigrants, many of whom were born and raised in the U.S., are returning to India not out of necessity, but out of choice. And they're bringing their spouses, kids, and even American friends with them. For this generation, India isn't a mystery. It's a place of cultural roots, business opportunity, and identity exploration. Many see India as a land of untapped potential where launching a business, starting a school, or building a community is not only possible but meaningful. In Bangalore, a US-born software engineer has started a coding bootcamp for underprivileged youth. In Pune, a couple from Chicago runs a Montessori school blending Western pedagogy with Indian values. These are not isolated cases, they are part of a wider movement where American knowledge is merging with Indian grounding to create something new. Even US-born children of Indian parents are choosing to raise their families in India. They cite language fluency, family proximity, spiritual values, and cost of living as core reasons. As this hybrid identity grows stronger, the bridge between the two nations becomes more than economic, it becomes deeply personal. Digital visas, Startup India, and ease of relocation. Unlike many countries tightening their immigration rules, India is opening doors. The government has launched initiatives to attract digital nomads, startups, and foreign entrepreneurs. From extended tourist visas to Startup India incentives, the process of living and working in India is becoming more seamless for global citizens. While there's no official digital nomad visa yet, India has extended tourist and business visas up to 5 years for many Western countries, including the US. That gives Americans the flexibility to live in India while operating global businesses, managing remote work, or building local ventures. In addition, the Indian government offers tax benefits, ease of doing business portals, and startup accelerators that encourage cross-border innovation. Many American entrepreneurs are using India as a base to develop low-cost, high-impact solutions, especially in sectors like fintech, education, and green tech. American-led startups are also opening Indian branches and hiring locally, taking advantage of India's talent pool while maintaining a Western customer base. In this model, India is no longer just a destination, it's a launch, seeking spiritual depth and cultural enrichment. At the heart of India's appeal lies something deeper than economy or convenience, its spiritual nourishment. For centuries, India has drawn seekers from across the globe, poets, mystics, scientists, and now, remote workers and retirees. Places like Varanasi, Dharamshala, Rishikesh, and Auroville are no longer just tourist stops, they're becoming long-term homes for Americans looking for meaning, healing, and inner transformation. In a world of burnout, consumerism, and mental health crises, India offers a counter-narrative, one where the soul takes priority over the schedule. Many Americans describe experiencing a shift after spending time in ashrams or spiritual centers. What starts as a 10-day yoga retreat often evolves into a complete lifestyle change. Meditation becomes routine. Diets simplify. Relationships deepen. And suddenly, the need for a big paycheck or a bigger house fades. As one expat in Auroville put it, India doesn't just change your address. It changes your consciousness. Challenges they face, but still stay. Of course, it's not all perfect. Moving to India comes with its own set of challenges, and for many Americans, the adjustment is significant. Language barriers can be frustrating, especially in rural areas. Bureaucracy can be slow and unpredictable. Public infrastructure in some places still lags behind Western standards. And there's the infamous chaos of Indian traffic, the noise, the pollution, and the different pace of life. Cultural misunderstandings are common, and the concept of personal space or punctuality may differ from what Americans are used to. Medical standards, while excellent in private hospitals, can be inconsistent in smaller towns. But despite all this, many choose to stay. Why? Because the benefits outweigh the inconveniences. Affordable living, meaningful community, access to spiritual life, and personal growth create a kind of richness that money can't buy. Plus, India's expat networks on Facebook, WhatsApp, and local community centers are surprisingly strong. From yoga retreats to startup meetups, Americans are building new support systems in India. India, the new American dream? So what does all this mean? It means that the global order is shifting in ways few predicted. India, once seen primarily as a country to leave, is now a country that Americans, once at the center of global privilege, are choosing to enter. And not just to visit, but to live, invest, heal, and build a future. For some, it's about escaping a broken system. For others, it's about discovering a more soulful way to live. And for many, it's about finding something they lost in America: community, purpose, balance, or peace. In this reversal of roles, we might just be witnessing the rise of India as the new beacon of possibility, a place where people from across the world come not just to survive, but to thrive. And perhaps, the most profound part of this shift is not logistical, but philosophical. As one American monk living in Rishikesh said, "The American dream didn't die. It just moved